Well, hello. Update to follow. It's been a few days. I've been extremely busy, but I've got to sort out these girls first, and I'll be back with you as soon as I can. Well, that's the bees sorted. Now for a little walk around to bring you up to date. It's the 25th of May 2023, and as you can see here, the plants are beginning to erupt from the ground, and flora everywhere. It's absolutely glorious. Not a huge diversity, but it's just spring flowers. Look at that. The blossom is nearly over now, and what I thought I'd do is just take you around some of the plantings that I've done and show you how things are progressing. Slowly. At the moment, slowly. What have we got here? Oh, that's nice. Look at that red clover. Absolutely beautiful. In the background, you can see the infamous yarrow. This spiky stuff here. It'll be coming into flower soon. I shall show you it, all its glory. Ah, there we go. Buttercups, red clover, plantain, cuckoo flower. As I've mentioned before, this is the food plant of the orange-tipped butterfly. Also got down here a very, very nice clump. Here we go. Of speedwell. Isn't that beautiful? As we move on, we'll probably find some pignut, and yes, here we are. Pignut is an edible root, grows in meadows. I've never tried it, but the books tell us that it is. It's an umbellifer, i.e. it has multiple heads on it, as you can see here, multiple flowers on multiple heads. Now, a short time ago, I posted a video on planting the maize, and you won't be able to appreciate this, but it has actually grown. It's greening up nicely. And what I do most years is to plant inside here some pumpkins. This wee beastie here is Blue Hubbard. Blue Hubbard, a magnificent pumpkin to eat. And there's also somewhere amidst this lot a butternut squash. Also along here, are my outdoor cucumbers, planted yesterday. They've got a lot of growing to do amidst all this rubbish on the ground. But I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I think it is. It'll be like 12 plants times 2. There's 2 at each planting area, planting site. It's very dry at the moment, although the ground underneath when you dig down is actually quite wet. Runner beans here, looking as though they've seen better days, I must admit. A little bit stressed, but they're green, they're growing, and the first shower of rain they'll brighten up and climb up these poles to 6 or 7 feet. Black currants finished flowering, fruit is setting. There we go, look at that. I adore them. I absolutely love black currants. And as if not to demonstrate it, there are somewhere in the region about 10 or 15 bushes here. And what do I do with them? Well, cassis. Make cassis beautiful. Eat them on your breakfast? Why not? Just eat them on their own. Gooseberries are swelling nicely. I'm not sure what variety this is. There we go. Gooseberry is a fruit that makes me wink when I eat it. A little bit like rhubarb. I'm afraid there's not enough sugar on the planet to take the acidity away from my palate, but I do like it in a perverse way. Courgettes planted out. All day bush, I think it's called. I'll correct that if I've got it wrong. On the left, and Black Beauty on the right. The one on the left is a marrow type courgette. Let's just be clear. Marrows are big courgettes, but there are courgettes and courgettes and the courgettes that turn to marrow. Work that one out. A pure marrow, that is. And the one on the left is will eventually become the definitive marrow. The one on the right here, however, doesn't produce such a good marrow. What do I use marrows for? Well, a nice little preserve made from the skin. If anybody's interested, I'll let you know the recipe. This is just a standard courgette and will be taken off when it's about 6 to 9 inches long and devoured. Over here, an early planting. What I mean by early is a new planting, let me be precise, of say beetroot then, rhubarb. And there are 4 varieties here. I like them very much, just growing them. Again, as I said, like gooseberries, not enough sugar on the planet. So what have we got here? Let's have a look here. These are very standard varieties that I acquired through the shops. It's red Canadian, got a dramatic spiky leaf. This one here is Victoria. It is? Yep, this is Victoria. And this one here, I think the next one along, if I recall, let's see if I can find the label. Where is it? There we go. This is Timperley Early. Now this is, as the name suggests, can be an early forced variety. I'd recommend it, frankly. I'd recommend it. And another spiky leaf variety here. Oh, down hands and knees. There we go. This is called, I've never grown this before, Raspberry Red. So presumably, raspberry red is a reflection of the colour of the stems. There we go. And there's the rest of the maize. Or sweet corn. Let's call it sweet corn. It is maize, but it's sweet corn. And the medlar's coming into flower. Look at those flowers. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now the medlar's a curious beast. It has a rather quaint old-fashioned name, which describes the fruit more than anything else, which is dog's bum. I'll leave that to your imagination. But many people like these to make a jelly from. I've tried it. I can't say it's much to write home about. I think it's an acquired taste. But nevertheless, it's a good source of pollen. It's cover for insects. And just a nice tree when it's actually covered in bloom. And these are all starting to come out now. As I mentioned earlier, the apple blossom is going over now. This is Brown's, a bitter, sharp cider apple, and one of the ones that's in flower this year. There's 8 of these trees here, and I can't recall how many. There's about 3 or 4 of those 8 that are actually in bloom this year. The remainder have gone to sleep because, as I've explained previously, they are biennial. Over here, one of our several nest boxes that are on the site, and this one is occupied by a family of blue tits. And it's absolutely great to see them popping in and out. Diving into the trees, finding something. Oh, here we go. Here's mum or dad coming back with something to eat. Step back out of the way. There we go. Look at that. In here she goes. And with a bit of luck, you may see, there we go. Off she goes again. Now these birds are constantly roving around all the trees in the orchard, and it's really great to see it because it's adding to pest control. Fundamentally, I don't apply any pesticides to the trees, except, I'll confess, one variety, Discovery, in the early part of the year can be very prone to aphid, and I use a organically approved pesticide. Otherwise it'll just wreck the tree. The early infestation, it needs to be controlled, but touch wood, it's not actually happened for quite a while. And here we are amongst the potatoes, mixture of main crop and earlies. On the far left hand side is Desiree, second row along from the left is Wilger, and then here on the right, just in front of me here, this is a variety called Nicola, an early, first early that is, followed by, just beyond the cane, Pentland Javelin. It's a bit scatty, doesn't it? It's not exactly in a straight line, but as the saying goes, there's no straight lines in nature. And yesterday morning, I spent a little bit of that time planting Uchirikuri pumpkins. I call them itchy witches because I think it's just easier to say. It produces a medium-sized, very, very nice eating pumpkin. And beyond that, just sufficient for my needs, 6 patty pans. I think this is a variety called Sunburst. Looking at some of the leaves looking a little bit anemic because they're kept in the pots probably for too long, but these have been sat on top. Indeed, all of these, including the pumpkins, have been sat on top of a good trowel of well-rotted manure and watered in well, so I'm sure they'll pick up. Enclosed with a rabbit-proof fence, absolutely essential here, to be quite truthful. Absolutely essential. The rabbits are diabolical. They show no mercy. I think it's also worth mentioning the hawthorn. Look at that, isn't it, a picture? It just looks like a snowy mountain. Absolutely fantastic for bees. They actually love the early nectar they produce. And there's a good display, a mixture of pignut and, unfortunately, hogweed. That's another story. And the odd buttercup in there as well. Right, I just thought I'd bring you into the low tunnel. It's a stupidly low tunnel, you can't stand up in it, but it just produces the right environment for growing some of the tenderleaf varieties in the late winter, early spring. So what we've got here predominantly is lettuce, which will all be picked off soon and devoured with relish because it really is beautiful lettuce. But this tunnel has been provided for chilies, and here's a padron. They've all stopped sulking now, they're turning a beautiful green colour and starting to grow and produce flowers. But let me just show you some of the lettuce. The lettuce variety here is an oak leaf lettuce. It's called Cornouaille, and to its left is Florine Red. Look at the colours on that, how beautiful. And behind it all here, the green, is a Salanova type called Extra Net. And if I can zoom in at the top there, they are Cos type lettuce. This is called Jaluna. Not quite ready, not quite filled. They're perfectly edible as they are, but you haven't got a heart in them at the moment. They just need probably another week or so to actually heart up. And over on the far side here, if I just pan round, we've got a row of Anaheims. As I said in an early video, these lettuce will be replaced, I think. It's convenient to grow in here. They turn over pretty quickly. I do grow lettuce outside, but obviously in an environment as naturally humid as this and moist, they will grow much faster, much more comfortable environment for them to grow. Now I've just walked past this hive, and this morning it was empty. Now I'm going to have a look inside because I'm not quite sure whether a small swarm has arrived or these bees are simply raiding the old comb that's been sat in there. But we'll have a look, I'll show you. Now, for the purpose of what I've got to do, I'm not going to put my veil on. If you see me run holding my head, screaming, yes, I'll have got stung. No, not true. Let's just have a look here. We'll just ease this lid off. Let's see a trusty penknife and see if I can just prise it away. There we go. See what's inside. Well, this is well stuck down. And no, nothing in there. Oh, bees obviously, but it's not a swarm. I think the old combs attracted them. This is ideal media, to be quite honest. Old comb, nice and honey scented. And if there are any swarms in the area and the scout bees find it, they will move in. And if you've never been in the middle of a swarm when it arrives, I recommend it. It is a fantastic experience. The smell, the sound is tremendous. And the bees themselves are full of honey and are very unlikely to sting. I'll see if I can find some footage. I've got some somewhere. And this here is a rather unimpressive row of brassicas, which are still at the seedling stage, or virtually at the seedling stage anyway. In fact, if I zoomed in, you probably ought to see one through the net. There we go. I have interplanted here with lettuce. Again, this is the Cos variety Geluna. Next to it, I do this all the time if I can. If I can squeeze an extra crop in that's faster maturing than the crop you're intending to grow, get them in. Radishes in between beans when they've been sown. Fantastic. So in this bed here is Calabrese, kale, all the way up there. Enough to get us through to winter time. And an empty bed here on the left. Not sure what I'm going to do with that. I haven't made my mind up yet. It'll certainly be sown up in the next week or so with something, probably planting it out with lettuce, starting to plant it out with lettuce. And a second sowing of beetroot as well. That needs to be done. I remember all these things. Just moving along slightly here. There's an aircraft in the background. I hope it's not destroying the audio. And a recently watered bed of seed here, carrot and beetroot. And on the right hand side, my risky gamble of 2023, some outdoor tomatoes. The ones in the foreground here, about a dozen of them, are indeterminate variety of yellow tomato, and then further along are bush varieties, and right at the far end were those that were subject to an earlier video. The blue boxes, they were there to support fleece. When it turned very chilly last week, it dropped to about 4 or 5 degrees, so I fleeced the whole lot. I haven't got around to shifting them yet. I think I'm just cautious at the moment, although it's the 25th of May, yeah, we can still get some cold nights, and it's worth bearing that in mind, particularly for something as tender as these outdoor tomatoes. A little bit of protection, a little bit of effort, half an hour or less, well, it's actually 10 minutes to put some fleece over here, can save you a lot of tears the following morning.